This is Movie Division. Today, I'm going to recap the horror mystery thriller movie entitled The Lodge. Spoilers ahead. Watch out. The movie opens with a woman named Laura crying in front of the mirror because her husband is thinking about divorcing her and has separated. Following that, Laura is seen taking her children, Mia and Aiden, to see their father, Richard. When the kids arrive at their father's house and meet him, Richard asks them to go out because he wants to talk to Laura. Richard and Laura are alone when she spots a woman named Grace going outside the house. On being asked for their secret meetup, Richard reveals that he's going to marry Grace and wants to finalize the divorce. Laura listens to this and leaves sadly. Laura drinks wine to deal with the stress, but then she takes out the gun and commits suicide. Following that, Mia, Aiden, and Richard are seen at her funeral. The kids are very sad at their mother's sudden demise, and when Richard tries to call Mia, she asks him to leave her alone, while Aiden accompanies her after their father leaves. After 6 months, Richard talks to Aiden and Mia questions them about whether they want to spend their Christmas in the mountains, but Aiden denies it when he learns that Grace will accompany them for a week when their father is back at his work. Richard makes them understand that he's going to marry Grace, and wants them all to know each other better. Aiden argues with his family and leaves angrily. Grace then comes to see Richard, and he informs her that they will have to delay their plans for a while. The next day, Richard discloses to his kids that he will be out for a while, and after he leaves, the kids access his computer and search for Grace. They discover that Grace belongs to a radical Christian sect, and her father used to believe that only the sinner souls are sent to Earth, and the only way to get rid of these sins is to die. All the members of the sect committed suicide, but Grace managed to survive and was supposed to spread their sex message to everyone. Suddenly, Richard arrives there, and when he asks them why they were there, the kids lie to him, stating that they are working on their school project because their computer is updating. Richard then suggests the kids to give Grace a chance, as she is a good cook and can help them eat anything they want. After a few days, the kids pack their stuff and join their father in the car, indicating they finally agreed with their father. After that, they pick up Grace from her house and arrive at their house in the mountains. Grace pets her dog, Grady, in his bed, and after that, she has dinner with Richard and the kids. Grace then gets uncomfortable after looking at Mother Mary's picture hanging on the wall and starts bleeding from the nose. Following that, Grace is staring at the cross in her room, and Richard informs her that it belongs to Laura, and they can take it off if she is uncomfortable with it. The following day, she watches kids playing outside with their father and tries to accompany them while trying ice skating. Richard asks the kids to help Grace with ice skating, but instead of helping her, they take their mother's hat from her and leave her. After that, Mia accidentally slips her doll into a fish hole, and Grace spots her while trying to get the doll. She tries to help, but Mia falls into the cold water. Richard saves her and takes her inside the home. After she gets warm, Richard informs her that he is not going back to the city if she is not feeling up to it. Grace persuades him to go, stating that it was her idea and that she will manage everything. Richard then shows her a gun and teaches him how to use it before leaving. Following that, Richard sees them off and leaves them after advising the kids to be nice. After Richard leaves, Grace tries to talk to the kids, but they don't listen. Grace decorates the house and finds Mia playing with her fish. Grace questions Mia about the gift she wants for Christmas, and she reveals that she wants a puppy, but her father does not allow her to have it. Grace tells her that she also did not get a gift as a child because her father was very strict and gifted Grady to herself as a gift. Mia then shows her the videos of their mother with them and Richard, which makes Grace feel bad, and she leaves. Grace questions Aiden about the dinner, but she gets no reply and has the dinner alone. Following that, she notices Aiden keeping an eye on her while showering. Later that night, Grace dreams of walking all around the house, and she opens her eyes to the floor. Mia is yelling to find her doll, and Grace helps her find it. Eventually, they find the doll in Grady's bed, and Grace apologizes to Mia for this. Grace returns to her room, and after taking her medicines, she leaves a voicemail on Richard's number, informing him that everything is fine here, and lies to him that she is having a good time with the kids. After that, Grace approaches Aiden and suggests that they must talk to each other more, but Aiden denies doing so. Grace gets mad at him, stating he can watch her shower but cannot talk to her. Later that night, Aiden presents a cup of tea to Grace, which makes her happy. Meanwhile, Mia pretends to be sick and asks her brother to bring her the gas heater. After Aiden brings the heater, Grace questions him whether it is safe to have, and falls asleep while watching the movie with the kids. Grace opens her eyes and finds herself in the middle of the ice. Suddenly, she falls into the water, and her father is dragging her down, but it appears to be her dream. Grace opens her eyes the next morning and learns that the light is gone. Her phone is not working, and the water in the pipes has frozen. She wakes up Aiden and learns that his phone is not working too. She discovers that everything, including the food inside the house, has disappeared. Grace thinks the kids have done this to freak her out. She leaves for her room and finds that her medicine is also gone. She gets mad at the kids, but they argue that she must have done something because they have her walking around the house at night. Grace checks the kids' room and ensures that they have done nothing. After that, they have lunch together with the food left in the freezer, and after Mia leaves the table, Aiden informs Grace that he had a dream last night and when she saw the three of them suffocating due to the heater. Grace noted the dates has been changed to January, while they were here in December. She questions Aiden about it, but he denies knowing anything. After a while, Grace takes a shower, notices repent written in the mirror, and gets afraid after reading it. Grace comes back to her room and states at the cross when Mia arrives and complains about listening to noise. Upon checking upstairs with Mia, Grace finds that the window is open and notices many footprints outside the window. Grace closes the door and returns to her room, where she keeps listening to many whispers in her ears. Grace leaves her room and finds Aiden's dead body like her cult members. Aiden wakes up and the kids try to calm Grace, but she accidentally slaps Mia. Afterwards, Grace asks Aiden to pack their stuff and claim that they are leaving for the nearby town. Despite being stopped by the kids, Grace leaves the house and keeps walking. After a while, she finds a house and a man looking at her. Grace tries to open the door, but to no avail. Having no other options, Grace is to return home and finds Aiden and Mia's picture indicating their demise. Grace is sitting when Aiden comes to her with the picture and asks her about it. But Grace replies that she knows nothing about it. Aiden tells her they can be dead, but Grace does not admit it, stating she is still hungry, afraid, and cold. Aiden replies that death can be like it. How can they know? Grace just spends time alone and recalls her father's words, what he used to say to his followers. Grace comes out of the house, getting sick of the voices she has been listening to, and when she returns, she is taken aback to see the kids repenting for their sins. Upon checking, she finds a newspaper with the news indicating the trio's death. Grace still does not believe this and hits Aiden when he forces her to repent for his sins. Aiden leaves, stating they are dead, and he can prove it. Aiden hangs himself on the roof, and when Grace looks at him, he questions whether she believes him now, and states they are trapped in purgatory. Grace thinks this is true and starts repenting for her sins far from home. The kids realize their mistake and decide to reveal the truth to Grace, and then they spot her coming back with Grady's corpse. Mia rushes to see Grady dead and asks Grace to come inside, but she does not listen to them. Aiden informs Mia that they will have to convince her that they are not dead yet, otherwise she will kill herself due to the cold. The kids take out the supplies and approach Grace. They reveal that nothing is true and they have been pretending all the time, but Grace replies that they are all sinners and they will have to repent before making their way to heaven. The kids get afraid of her and leave to turn the generator on, but to no use. Later at night, the kids hear some noises, and when they check, they are stunned to see Grace hurting herself while repenting for her sins. The kids spent the night getting afraid and listening to Grace's screams. The next day, Richard leaves a voice note for his family to contact him as soon as possible because he is leaving to approach them. On the other hand, Mia insists on using the washroom downstairs. She carefully leaves and makes her way up to the washroom. When Mia tries to return to her brother, Grace captures him and picks up her fallen doll. Mia safely reaches her brother, but Grace follows her, burns her doll in front of her eyes, and asks her to get rid of her sins and idols. After that, Grace points her gun at Mia and confronts her, but suddenly, Richard arrives and draws everyone's attention. Richard acknowledges something is wrong, and when he comes upstairs, he is taken aback after looking at Grace holding a gun in her hand. Richard tries to calm her and take the gun, but Grace points the gun at her head, informing Richard that she cannot be dead because she has died already. When Grace presses the trigger, she misses the shot. Grace then points the gun at Richard's head and kills him. The kids get very scared and rush to the car outside after looking at all this. Meanwhile, Grace comes closer to Richard's body and wonders how he died. She then leaves and finds the kids inside the car. In the following scene, we see the kids sitting next to their father's dead body and Grace, who forces them to sing a divine song. After that, she covers her and the kids' faces with sin written on them, and the movie ends there. If you enjoy the recap, leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this, and turn on the bell notification.